Waiting to confirm. We are live on Twitch and YouTube, so welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It is a midway Wednesday, and we are here mainly to provide you with support and answer any questions about our products and services. Of course, if you have any of those, you can feel free to jump over to foolishtechshow.com. We have a couple ways you can join our IRC chat from there and speak directly to us, and we'll be more than happy to interrupt whatever we may be talking about or rambling on through if you have any questions about our products and services. Otherwise, you can always participate in the random shop talk that we'll fill the airtime with otherwise, and just keep in mind that everyone's opinions here are of the individual that expressed them and not of the company itself. So on that note, how's everyone's Wednesday going?
It's going okay. Yay.
Like it's dragging on.
It's going well.
Seems like it's flying by to me.
It's a Wednesday.
Yeah, well, looks like Phoenix has got some links in there for us, and give me 1 second, I'll switch over to those. I got one thing I've been trying to work on all day and testing, and it has been aggravating the Jeezies out of me. Let's see if it...
Yeah, Phoenix, we already talked about the browser autofill feature leaking personal information yesterday on the show, but if you didn't catch it, it is a potential problem. The basic idea is that there could be hidden fields, and so when you basically consent to use autofill for a limited number of fields, it's possible for the site through those hidden fields to capture additional data. You know, you should probably be wary of the use of autofill to begin with, potentially, but we did discuss that.
Yeah, we did talk about that when I reposted it there.
And the stolen NSA hacking tool is now up for sale. I thought we might have talked about that in the past, but...
Is this from the same group that's been trying to sell them for like almost a year now?
Yeah, exactly. Is this... What's their new attempt? Let me see. Let's see what they're down to now in price.
Same group, yeah.
Yeah, and it's...
Oh, they got new tools now.
And it's 750 bitcoins, which is darn near 700,000 US dollars.
Yeah, just under it, because it's been hanging around the $900 price range now.
So they threw in fuzzing tools, exploit framework.
Oh no, Bitcoin's gone down to 780.
Ooh, oh dear Lord, that's a big drop.
580,000, 85,000 or so.
Okay, so short under 600,000, but at any rate, same group, still trying to do the same thing. Okay, very good.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty interesting. Apparently, this was Microsoft's smallest patch Tuesday ever. I did notice that there wasn't a lot to download on them.
Yeah, it was brief, but I don't sit there and stare at those, and I'm sometimes away from my computer when it's happening. But wow, just 4. Was there anything else that they put out? I mean, was that the extent of Patch Tuesday for those 4 updates?
I don't know. Maybe was it just for 10 or?
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, they don't go into a tremendous amount of detail, do they? One's for Edge. Oh, that's Windows 10 and Server 2016. The other one is Office 2016. The other one is a Flex Flash player on all supported platforms, so that's most of them. And the last one, it's a denial of service vulnerability in LSAS, so that does affect everyone as well.
I think Patch Tuesday is going to continue to be a thing. Like, they're going to release it at that time. It's just they're trying to get rid of multiple updates of it or something like that. But who knows? Yeah, that one you just posted, Phoenix, I'd seen a lot of talk about. They give you little switches where you can turn off what you're reporting back to them.
Yeah, so a couple of things. Number one, I commend them for listening, and maybe it's supposed to, even on a new installation, prompt you these questions and ask you for this a lot more prominently than it did currently. I mean, they've been improving it a little bit, or they have made a few improvements regarding that. But the other thing to note, and this is a close tie with another story, I don't necessarily have the link, but it's regarding them allowing you more control over Windows updates under Windows 10. So those gripes, Nick, that you were some of those gripes that you were talking about may be addressable via that. So driver updates can be optional for Windows updates to do, and there's also a much easier way to defer updates for a period of time. So I'm not saying that that's all that they could do, or even that that's sufficient, but it seems to be a step in the right direction, and it seems quite in line with this story about the telemetry data collection. So I guess props to that, but don't stop there. Keep going, and make it completely transparent.
Phoenix points out a tool that he's been using to block data.
Haven't looked at that.
I haven't heard of it either. And then he's got a couple other links here. One of them is a Netflix downloader pulled offline following trademark complaints. Surprise, surprise. And apparently EU wants to regulate WhatsApp and Skype-like carriers. That's going to be fun to see how they do that. And he's got another link to more about what that Blackbird app is.
It claims to do a whole lot. It's basically would appear to be a combination of a lot of different things. The only part about it that I'm a little bit concerned, I guess, is its ability to properly detect and disable those what they call data collection tasks from the system. I think it would be highly dependent upon the software vendors to continue doing what they have been doing and not make any changes to that. And I was just concerned that there may be a lack or lag between what changes are made and how Blackbird adapts to it. But seems pretty straightforward. Have issues for Windows updates in there. They claim it's regularly updated, so that's good. That alleviates my concern a little bit. Although, let's see, the last update was November 10th. It claims to be free and ad-free forever, which is very nice. Supposed to prevent diagnostic data, passwords, contacts, URL, SMS, handwriting, location, P2P, update sharing, unique ad ID tracking tokens, and other types of built-in advertising. I don't know if that means like Cortana or other things, but that's kind of cool. I mean, I don't really see anything wrong with this at all. It's unusual for...
Cool. Well, those privacy-aware people can feel free to try it out and let us know if they like it as well. Speaking of updates, I don't know if anybody has Adobe Acrobat Reader installed. Apparently I do. I went through and uninstalled it afterwards, finding this out though, because apparently on their latest update they decided to add a Chrome extension, and I see no reason why at all that they needed a Chrome extension, and I don't even know why I still had it installed. Must have do some testing or something, but
I stopped using Reader quite a while back.
Yeah, because
especially now that
by itself opens PDFs just fine.
Chrome opens PDFs, Edge opens PDFs. There's at least if you've got Windows 10, there's absolutely no reason for a third-party product to do that. And even if you don't have,
there's plenty of reason, Michael. Maybe
Why,
you need some question.
Okay, so to fill out forms, is that what we're talking about? I mean, there are some specific use scenarios, but just reading PDFs is not is not a problem.
I haven't had any reasons to use a third-party one.
Yeah, and I've never also, on the same note, actually never even been encountered a PDF form that I was involved in. I mean, I've seen other people do it, but I don't know that they're particularly
Probably
common.
don't do a lot of PDF forms.
Happens to me a bit, actually.
So you have to use a reader for it, Acrobat.
Yeah. It seemed like they got some functionality okay in Chrome or something. Maybe you can do certain forms or certain types or functions and the functionality in the form. I don't know, but it didn't work for what I needed it for. And also, you can't view the intonations in the file if they're done in that with Adobe. There's a way they can put notes in there and things that pop up when you click on them. You know, highlights and things that Reader or that Chrome won't interpret. So I've actually had quite a go around with someone about buying something. Bought the house, or maybe it was the accountant. I'm not sure, but I had quite a go around with someone over that at some point, and then I was like, "Oh, let me try Reader," because it just didn't show. You know, they just didn't display.
Yeah, that would make more sense. And like I said, I don't, as probably Michael doesn't, I don't have to deal with that many PDFs in that kind of a way. Usually it's just reading a document over. I haven't even had to fill a form out in a PDF until.
Well, even not a form, but if they use any of the special features like that with the notes and the things, I know there's a ton of them in Adobe Acrobat that you can do kinds of things. But anyway, you might be missing out if you've not read one, if you've not used Reader itself. You might actually be missing out on something in the PDFs that you do read, because otherwise you wouldn't know.
And maybe that's what that extension helps with, is if Chrome is opening them by default and it'll add that stuff. I don't know. I just saw it try to add an extension. I was like, why are you trying to get in Chrome, and why do I still have you installed?
Well, it aggravates. At first I liked it that Chrome did that, but then it wasn't full support, and then I didn't like it. Now I I end up using the Reader because I have to, and now I'm like actually kind of impressed with PDFs. But I don't, you know, I don't care to have a Chrome extension. In fact, since I'm using Reader, I don't care for Chrome to do it at all. You know, Chrome uses enough memory. Let's let Reader do that, a little bit of that.
Nick, I'm not sure if you and Jade eat radishes, but apparently there's a tool out there to turn your radishes into a Super Mario mushroom.
Well, see, that's just the thing. I was just thinking radishes. No, but I'll pull them out of the ground in Mario 2. Radishes out of the ground. That's what I was thinking. But okay.
It's a cool little tool, though. It makes a nice little Mario mushroom out of them. But I never eat radishes either, and I didn't even remember the Super Mario Brothers 2 pull-up part of it.
Yeah, I really don't know on a radish. I think she does. It seems like to me I've had something with a radish shoved in my face at some point, and I'm like,
Well,
isn't that what you guys were eating when we were there to lower your blood pressure or something?
Me?
Yeah, you and Jade.
No, I had a blood pressure problem.
Or was it beets? Or was it beets?
I damn sure don't eat beets. I don't know who you're talking about, but it wasn't here.
Maybe it was your parents, Johnny. They seem more apt to have blood pressure issues.
Beets don't enter this.
My parents do not have blood pressure issues.
We don't either. Cholesterol issue.
Well, sad news of the day. Common bumblebee has officially entered the endangered species list.
Hmm.
Their population has apparently declined 90% since the early 90s.
Wow.
So, how do plants pollinate themselves without the bees? Or they use other bugs for that
I think
purpose?
that's probably the point, is that we're going to end up losing a lot of stuff, and they probably are already starting. Plants are starting to not get pollinated. I thought this was pretty cool.
That whole birds and the bees story that parents have to have with their kids apparently is going to have a different name in the future, huh?
Possibly. Or the mythical birds, or the mythical bees. They'll call
Well, is the common bumblebee the only bee that pollinates anything? So
it. Yeah, there are a lot of bees.
There are other bees, and there
okay.
are other.
So they're saying that that's
form
the
of
bee
fungus.
that we're used to. It's about like, is there a bee that's killing that bee that also pollinates?
No, I don't think it's bees killing other bees. I think it's just, and they.
I know there's a lot of like cross mating and whole Africanized thing and all that. I guess they don't. I was thinking that they did not.
I don't know, and the issue with all of the bees in general, as far as I understood, it was a global issue with all kinds of bees. Is the hive collapse issue, where like for no reason at all, the hives just collapse and all the bees die out, and they don't know why that's happening. So
Apparently, bumblebees are responsible for pollinating a third of our nation's crops.
Maybe some other bee will step up.
well, they have a Black Mirror episode in the new season 3 on Netflix about them creating robotic bees to take the place of real bees. And then it turns out terrible because somebody hacks into the robotic bees and takes them over and starts killing people. Interesting episode. Anyway, I thought this was pretty cool. Colony collapse disorder. Thank you, Cork. I thought this was pretty interesting. So we've talked about the WSUS offline updater. Apparently, they've added a ability to only download the security updates. So previously, we're having to download all kinds of updates. Now you can specify if you only want the security ones instead of quality roll-ups. So I guess that's trying to get away from what Microsoft is trying to push, where it's going to be the roll-ups, which I think that's more related to getting the Patch Tuesday thing disappearing, but we'll see. I thought this was pretty interesting too. Good one, Zombie Worm. If you have a Google Assistant or Google Home or the Alexa options, this goes through and tells you how you can customize them to do whatever you want. So I didn't get a chance to read it or try any of them yet, but thought I'd put it out there for anybody interested that has the time. And I thought this was super awesome. Somebody came out with a Unbreakable racing drone. So for all you drone pilots that aren't quite good enough to stay in the air, this will help you not have to worry about that so much. It does look freaking cool, and apparently you can run over it with a car. It's going to set you back $750 though. But if it's the only time you have to buy it, that's not bad. Considering you could, like, one of our friends, NetHunter, got a Phantom 3 and ended up having it for like maybe 2 weeks, I think, before he ran it into a light bulb or light pole and busted the whole thing apart and blew up the battery. And that cost a pretty penny to replace. So, what else we got here? I thought this was interesting. You can make an edible pie that has the Tron logo actually glowing. That looks pretty freaking awesome. I'm not sure. Oh, they use agar, a gelatinous substance derived from algae, some tonic water, and applied it to the pie, and under a black light, the agar tonic water mixture glows blue. It looks freaking awesome, though.
It looks awesome, but I'm not sure I'm digging the algae pie.
Yeah, you have to eat the pie in the dark, too. That seems messy. But it does look cool. I thought this was pretty interesting, too. I'd never seen this effect personally. But apparently there's a flowing water effect where when it freezes over on the top and then starts to melt, it ends up creating a spherical disc that just spins in the middle of the water. That's pretty cool. And then some scientists found out that there's good reason why. You can find out all that on there. And if you're not a fan of Alexa or Google Home or any of those other things to turn on your lights, apparently they've come up with a way that you can make a Harry Potter wand to gesture control, turn on lights. So that'll be fun. I don't even know the Harry Potter thing, luminous or something, extra luminous or luminous Electra or
something like that.
Lumos Maxima. Yeah, that's it. That's turning the lights on. I don't think you even have to yell that, though. Oh, this is the best thing. So hopefully everyone remembers the pineapple pen, apple pen. Well, he has come back with a new song, another hit. I like orange juice. And it is just as good as pineapple, apple pen. Highly recommend it. Play it on repeat for a little while.
It's actually Brantley's ringtone now.
Well, okay.
And I assume that they're doing this because of the change in administration, but Verizon is going after unlimited data users again. So there are quite a few people out there on Verizon that are grandfathered into unlimited data plans, and Verizon has had a big issue with that. And now apparently they're essentially limiting unlimited data to 200 gigabytes of data a month. So if you're using your cell phone to download 200 gigabytes of data a month, A, kudos. B, Verizon's going to start cutting you off. So
Awesome.
it appears you have to average that every month. So I don't know what they're considering. They don't even know what they're calculating as the averages based off of, but I guess try to keep it under 200 gigs.
So they they tell you they won't be, you're grandfathered into unlimited, and then every year they raise your price by $5 until you cave off of it. I mean, I don't know, but hey, listen, I wanted to mention an update. I was looking at that the privacy settings with Windows and potentially changing. It still doesn't change the core issue. I just wanted to point out that only Enterprise can still fully turn off telemetry. I mean, the improvements that that they're making are great, but until they address that core concept, I guess I can't I can't fully pat them on the back for doing that. Again, they're making it a little bit better, but until they give the user the ability to wholesale turn it off or on, I'll still have a bit of a complaint there.
As will everybody that doesn't really know what they're actually sending or really understand why, so they just want to complain that it's sending stuff. I didn't get a chance to read this over, but it's kind of related to the Hangouts API getting disabled, I think April or so. Apparently there's going to be some updates to Google Voice coming out. Hopefully this will be good, but I don't know. I hope they don't mess up Google Voice. It's been a long, good product, and integrating it with Hangouts has been on the iffy side, but it's been working okay. But if they're going to get rid of Hangouts and force you to move to Allo and Duo, because you need two separate apps to do what one app does right now, hopefully they're not going to mess it up. Because I love Google Voice. Google Voice is an absolute favorite of mine. I have not used a regular cell phone number since I've gotten Google Voice.
All the all the PBX stuff that I was involved in for a time, was piggybacking off of Google Voice, and it was a brilliant option for doing that on the low cost. So a lot. This is gonna, if they were to potentially turn that off, it would affect a large number of people, but that hasn't stopped them in the past. So who knows?
Well, the biggest thing that it would affect is like every Sprint user is fully integrated with Google Voice. So,
really? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, if you have a Sprint number, you're pretty much running off a Google Voice number. And if they mess that up, or I doubt they're going to turn it off because it is such a great program. But who knows? I mean, Google does just turn things off at a whim, so who knows? Who knows? Otherwise, here's a nice little video about Adam ruining electric cars. You might think they're green, but you got to remember that the power that you're using to power them more than likely is not green energy powered. So you may be saving gasoline emissions, but increasing coal burning emissions, which is far worse, actually. And then, of course, to make the electric cars, they still have to go through all the regular means of polluting the air to make a car in general. So,
plus you have to mine lithium for the batteries.
Yeah, and then you add the batteries in that you have to mine for rare resources, and bad stuff there. So they are not as green as they could be. It's more of a status symbol than actually helping the planet, which makes their price range a lot more understandable. So they're definitely not aiming for the go get a green people. This could be very sad news. Parent Monopoly is taking an internet vote. We know how well that turns out. Bodie McBoatface. To replace all of their classic game board tokens in Monopoly.
All right. You know what they're replacing them with, or attempting, or possibly, or at least with the article that I read about this mentioned, they want to make them like emojis or something.
Pretty much, that's what it looks like. I'm probably sure that the poop icon and the hashtag icon are going to be new Monopoly pieces.
Oh boy.
Let's see if votemonopoly.com has a running poll.
You never, ever. Haven't they learned their lesson? I mean, the voting both pays thing I thought was I was hoping would put a nail in the coffin of this type of thing, but.
Well, it doesn't tell you what's winning right now, so I'm thinking that they're going to hold the last call. They're just trying to get popular opinion, and then we'll determine it based off that. And hey, if you're living in the UK and they suspect you to be a pirate, they're going to start sending ISPs are going to start sending you written warnings. I would kind of like to have one of those to frame it. You have been suspected of being a pirate. I hope it says R after that somewhere. And I thought this was pretty neat, especially getting into the Arduino and being able to control LEDs. Here's a handbag that you can make a built-in LED matrix on. And I'm sure you could power it with an Arduino and make it all cool looking and patterns and whatnot. Yeah, it looks like they are running it off Arduino. So.
All right, so this video here I thought was interesting. You may have heard about this. It's a part of a larger article that apparently Windows Central put out about the dumbest stuff at CES. And so there's this flash drive. Appears to be an ordinary 32 gig flash drive that claims to offer unlimited data storage even without an internet connection. Apparently, it uploads your data when you are connected to the cloud. But their statement claiming anytime access to your data has to be a blatant lie. Now, I'm going to quote particularly from the Windows Central, but their suggestion, and I'm in agreement with them, is that you got a 32 gig flash drive and you upload 3.2 terabytes of data, and you're on a flight and you randomly want to watch a movie, what are the odds that the movie's going to be in those 32 gigs? And what if potentially you had something that was larger than 32 gigs, that you wanted access to? That would be impossible as well. But they basically that video basically puts an infinity symbol next to capacity, and that's impossible. And I don't understand who they must be marketing to unintelligent people.
So basically, they're kind of saying like it has cloud storage and then it'll stream to the flash drive. Or?
No, I mean I think literally. I don't think there's any streaming. I think it's just when you're connected. I think it is uploading things. But you look at that presentation there, and it doesn't. You may not be able to look at it right now, but it doesn't look like it's anything they're claiming at all. I think it's just some cloud structures. They're claiming some advanced AI, but again, how are we going to guess what data I need and want access to? No amount of AI is going to do that.
Well, advanced ones might. That would make sense if it
I mean, isn't it really just an application that's on the flash drive that gets run or runs or can be run when you're connected to a
taking
computer?
up more space.
Yeah, and it's taking up space. Yeah, these things are just junk, and there's a lot more examples in that of companies are trying to sell bad stuff, basically. So be warned. The other interesting one was a hairbrush, and
Yeah, smart hairbrush. We mentioned that one.
did you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's just crap. Obviously, I mean, I've heard some people say some good things about it, but I don't pay that much attention to brushing my hair, and it doesn't take up a significant portion of my time.
I don't
And it
know.
also hasn't caused me any problems.
You spent some time on brushing your hair today.
Well,
double check.
I mean, do you really need to understand the force and rhythm of your brushing?
I mean, people that do
Stroke count. I mean,
people that do brush their hair a lot, probably.
Brushing is very important to me.
Yeah.
Look,
Johnny spends a lot
don't
of
get me
time
wrong.
brushing her hair.
Brushing hair is incredibly good, especially
Well,
brushing
she'd probably
somebody
like to
else's
know
hair.
the statistics.
Wonderful
I
social
have a lot of hair.
thing.
It's how she could figure out if her shampoo is working or not, or her new conditioner. She can be like, oh, it only took me 500 strokes to get my hair done, whereas this new shampoo, it only takes 300 strokes. It's good information.
Okay. The value of hairbrushing comes in the the feeling and usually and particularly if it's done between two people, and it has nothing to do with any of these stats here.
Brushing hair
It's
between
questionable. It's questionable.
What the hell are you talking?
Yeah,
You don't even
what
have
are
hair
you
to
talking
brush. You've never
about?
in your life had enough hair to brush, Michael. What are you even talking about like you know? Oh, the value of hair brushing has nothing to do with brushing your hair for the purposes of cosmetic, whatever.
He said that brushing your hair has to do with the feeling of brushing your hair and brushing the hair between two people. I'm not sure what that second one means at all.
No, brushing like someone brushing your hair, or you brushing somebody else's hair, or a child or a parent brushing
Michael,
a
you do
child's.
understand that people don't just brush their hair just because it feels good, right? Like there's legitimate reasons.
I happen to see a lot of girls don't like brushing their hair because it takes a while, or it's a difficult task, or they have hair problems. Vanity.
I believe that there is a social reason for brushing of the hair, but
All right, well, Michael, you grow up
Yeah,
on
it's
hair and
vanity.
give us some info on it.
Oh my goodness.
On
heard of that?
better news, apparently Australia has a feral cat problem. The quote in here says that feral cats roam 99.8% of the country. Cats cover more Australian land than internet access does.
Well,
That is insane. But it apparently some of the parks have spent $260 across 7 visits to KFC over a 4-month period. And a nameless source told The Guardian that KFC is widely known to be the most effective bait for luring feral cats. I did not know that. But yeah.
KFC.
Yeah, fried chicken makes a good lure thanks to its scents and prolonged freshness, according to a scientist. That's weird. But apparently, the audit also found that park employees also spent hundreds of dollars on jewelry, mountain bikes, and other things that probably were not used for park upkeep, as well as a $5,000 home entertainment store, or $5,000 at a home entertainment store. Their total credit card bill came to $2.2 million. So probably a little bit more going on there than just the cats, but I thought the cat side of it was pretty interesting.
Hmm.
And let's see, we got some other ones. Oh, this was a neat little trick. Did y'all know that when you're renaming files in Windows Explorer, to move down to the next file to rename, you can just hit Tab. So like if you have a list of files that you want to change, you hit F2 to rename that one, you can hit Tab and it'll automatically highlight
How
and
does
make.
that work with the renaming extensions?
It looks like because Windows by default, when it highlights a name, it only highlights the file name, not the extension. So
I did not know that, but that's cool.
Yeah, half the time I'm just trying to rename the extension anyway.
yeah, for your case, probably not the best. But, let's see what else we got. Oh, Michael, look, I found my next computer.
Hmm?
Is it 6 gigahertz?
Nope. Mine runs fine at 5 gigahertz, so I'm probably not going to get it for a while. But Origin PC's custom professional overclocking will push your Kaby Lake chip past 5 gigahertz.
Yeah. It's a fairly tall order. It's been very difficult for most of the review sites I've seen to attain that now. However, that being the case, you can definitely push it with things like liquid nitrogen. In fact, more than a tad over 7 gigahertz is possible with liquid nitrogen cooling. Now, that's not a stable long-term solution, obviously. So, if this can do it, let's say $75. What are they going to stick in there to make that happen, though, is the
Quite
question.
often they'll support it.
Yeah, okay, but I'm a little concerned that number one, the cost, because you're already spending $75 just for them to do the overclock. That's not to probably mention the actual components necessary to do the overclock, like the massive water cooler or some other type of cooling system that they're going to have. But them standing behind it, yes, that's certainly an advantage. But they don't. There's no details on how they're accomplish that, and I'd like to see it. I'd like to see how they're making that work. Like I said, it's been exceedingly difficult for the sites that I read to exceed 5 gigahertz.
Yeah, it's nice to see that a 7000 series is finally matching up to my 3000 series i7 running at 5 gigahertz.
I don't even know where to start ripping that apart, but whatever.
Michael's 6001 can't get up to 5 gigahertz, so he's upset.
I would argue that neither can yours, but we'll talk about that another time.
It's running at it right now.
Just because you set the multiplier at something doesn't mean that's what it's actually running at.
Anyway, let's see, this one is kind of interesting. Has anybody tried the voice recognition stuff on Windows 10?
No, I refuse to give Cortana any way to train based upon my voice. It's bad enough I've used OK Google, but that's the extent it's going to get from me.
Well, it does offer you a lot. I mean, you can basically not use the keyboard and mouse anymore and use everything through voice recognition. I remember when back at the shop, Nick tried to use voice recognition for everything, and that was during the XP early Vista days, I think, and it did not work out for the best. So
that's a long time ago for speech recognition. That's when Dragon was still leading the game.
Yeah, my mom remembers in 1995 me yelling, "Get mail! Get mail!" at my 486.
Yeah, I remember that too.
That's fun. But I mean, they have been constantly aiming to improve that. So I was wondering if anybody would like to try it. Michael, I think that's going to be your next job duty is doing everything through voice recognition on your computer and telling us how it works out.
That's a great way to destroy productivity right there.
But it will improve because
Yeah.
you'll be
How many
saying all that
coders,
helpful
how many people who write code use voice recognition? When that happens, when voice recognition gets to the point where you can literally write a program with it, maybe I'll jump on board the bandwagon at that point. But it would have.
He disagrees that we should make you do it.
I'm totally. I want the whole Star Trek view of voice recognition, where you just casually ask the computer, to do something, and it, responds without any.
I want the voice recognition that was in the Why Him movie. That's what is going to beat out all of these. Like any of those products finally make it where basically you can just have a conversation with the device and it will respond just like you would expect it to.
Yeah, that goes back to the Turing tests, stuff that we've talked about a little bit before in the past as well.
Yeah. Make Michael write code using Cortana. So it might actually turn out to be better code.
When you see some of my dialog boxes produce stock ticker quotes and air weather forecasts, then you'll you'll know why.
So I thought this was pretty interesting stuff that came out of CES. Be careful, it has a auto-playing video at the top. But this is Whirlpool's Zero Food Recycler. So it'll turn your food that you're throwing away into fertilizer, basically. So I thought that was pretty cool, making compost easy. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, this one was one of the ones I hope ended up on your crap at CES list, Michael.
Which one?
This is a smart trash can that will open with just the sound of your voice. Because using your foot is far too inconvenient.
Yes.
When you're carrying 2 handfuls and 2 footfuls of trash, you can't just open the trash can with your foot then. You need it to listen to you. And thought this was a pretty interesting Raspberry Pi project. If you have Alexa already, you can set it up with a Raspberry Pi to control your blinds. Pretty neat. And that's been always kind of one of the home automation things that you always see in the movies is the blinds opening automatically for you. And what else we got?
Here's an interesting. This is I'm usually more for higher end parts, but if you're just gaming or potentially or doing mostly apps that aren't as well threaded or able to take advantage of a multi-core system, that looks like it's going to be a very powerful chip. For most intents and purposes, I think for regular light usage at home, for a lot of consumers, I think they can just about achieve the level of performance of 67 or 7700K with something like that. Again, there's it depends on what you're running and a few other factors, but it's looking pretty impressive.
Michael, what you have is a CGM.
Excuse me?
Continuous glucose monitor.
Yes, that's correct.
Have you seen the K-Track glucose wearable?
I have not.
It's something else that they had at CES, and I meant to bring it up to you a long time ago, but
I did not. This is not something that I saw. No.
it looks pretty nice. It's just a watch, and it uses little tiny needles on the back of it to prick you every now and then and gather the data. The reviewer says it's not. They don't see much benefit added over the existing one. Although I would say differently, if you're having to wear that whole contraption and stick yourself with a big needle, like I would think a watch would be far
Yeah,
better off.
absolutely. As long as, yeah, they've been working on this type of thing for quite some time, but the issue up till, I guess, recently was that they weren't able to do it accurately enough, particularly involving situations where the wearer would sweat. So this was they were doing it without actual sampling of the blood, and that was, I guess, turned out to be problematic. And this is going to do it. This is still going to prick you. It looks like it's just a lot tinier. They call it skin taste, which is kind of weird. Tasting my skin.
It does look like it will be a lot more affordable, though. They're saying you're looking at around $13.50 a year, and plus the $200 initial investment for the gadget itself, and
Yeah.
the sensors are $150, which last about a month.
Well, he said he got a chance to compare its results to his traditional CGM, but he doesn't. He doesn't say what. He doesn't say what the result. He doesn't say.
He wasn't able to try the K-Track for himself at CMS to compare it. It says he wasn't able. But he did see a working model from start to finish, and
okay, yeah.
Collection and analysis took less than a minute to complete.
Yeah. Now the cost is pretty high on that, obviously, as you can see, $13.50 a year. But
I mean,
with
compared
insurance, it should be fine. Yeah, mine's way up there too, obviously.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you were saying you spend multiple $1,000s.
Without insurance, yes, the device I had alone cost, I believe, a couple of thousand. And it's not nearly as capable as that.
But
I'll keep an eye on it.
That would be because, like, you couldn't go swimming because you had to take that whole thing out and everything, and
exactly, yes.
Taking your watch off would be a lot more convenient than that.
Yeah, I'm just curious of this person here, why they didn't bring up any of those points, but it's also possible that the person has a much better CGM than I do, potentially. They've made a lot of improvements to those, and I'm about a generation behind, at least one generation behind, if not two, if you consider some of these types of devices, a couple generations. So lots can happen in the buddy market. I'd expect in another year, we'd see another generation or possibly even more transpire. So I'll keep an eye on it, see. My insurance has to approve it, though, so I need to get a doctor, talk about it, and see. But if it's possible, I'll let you know. I'll give you a first-hand review.
That'd be awesome. Well, another thing that I think was at CES, I'm not positive about this, but they are going to start shipping out soon in a couple months, is they put a entire fitness tracker into a single ring. So instead of having to wear a band or another watch or something like that, you can just have a ring on. It'll collect all your fitness data in one. Looks like they go for about $200 though.
$200. That better include platinum, right?
I don't know what it includes. It did not.
If they give you a steel band or something for $200, I'm gonna be a little bit pissed. But okay.
What else we got here?
Speaking of that CPU, though, for any tech shop owners who do still do hardware sales, that'd be an interesting addition to your lineup there. I know normally shops aren't usually selling the highest end systems. At least that's the experience for the shop that we worked with, but that seems like it might fit within the budget of a smaller shop and could provide a nice little kick, especially, as I said, for maybe a gaming oriented machine or something like that.
Yeah. All right, well, I got one last link that we can talk about here, especially since it's starting to get colder and looks like we might actually have winter here, although you wouldn't believe it with it being 60 degrees outside right now. This is a Lifehacker article that talks to people that live in places where it's regularly negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and they tell you a couple interesting things. I really liked the reusable hand warmers. So hand warmers can run you about $1 a pack, but apparently you can just put some rice in a sock or something and heat it up in the microwave for about 60 seconds, and you got a toasty hand warmer that stays nice and warm for a surprisingly long time in your pocket.
Yeah, they're actually selling this type of thing. In fact, my mother for Christmas got effectively something like this, but it was truly just rice inside something else that you microwaved.
Yeah.
It is no different than what you're describing at all. And my guess is that there's a very high markup on those types of things.
Probably. Let's see, some other suggestions they made were some homemade de-icers just inside the front door. Homemade de-icers, good thing. Of course, layering clothing is always a great idea. And I thought this one was pretty interesting. Keeping your curtains, blinds open on the windows that are facing direct sunlight, but keeping them closed on the other windows. So you basically kind of regulate your heat coming in through sunlight with just opening or closing your blinds, which would be really cool if you got the Amazon Echo Raspberry Pi project up and working to automatically do it. You could probably even add like a light sensor on there to automatically close them when they don't sense light. Be interesting. Then, of course, caulking up any windows that leak cold air and adding weather strips to your doors definitely helps a lot. I actually need to add some weather stripping to our doors because they definitely let in a lot of cold air. And then, of course, baking a lot of food, leaving your oven door open afterwards. Long time trick that I learned from my parents. And let's see. Strategically parking your car so that the sun hits the windows as soon as possible. Keeping warm water in tea kettles at all times. Some indoor exercising. And keeping blankets in every room. So lots of good tips to stay warm this winter. All right, well, that about hits our hour time limit. Did anyone have anything else they wanted to bring up real quick or talk about? Or
On that weather stripping thing, it's a couple extra bucks to spend, and because I don't think you want to use just anything you have laying around. But they have insulation for the inside of light switch and electrical outlet plates. They go on the back of those plates, and I've used those before. If your plates are really cold, you don't have enough like a lot of insulation in the walls or whatever, and your plates are really cold. You can, if you think that's an avenue for heat to escape.
That's interesting. I never thought of those. My concern there would be adding insulation into that whole electrical area.
Well, yeah, no doubt. You wouldn't want to use just anything laying around the house. You want to check the hardware store for what they make for that.
Yeah.
But it's essentially like a foam. It's not like a fluffy insulation like you would see in the wall all
Yeah.
over the place. It's just like a foam kind of a weather strip padding like that.
That would be cool. Yeah, and that's an area that I would have never thought of actually. Although I haven't touched my light switches.
And do not neglect your windows. Doors are the worst, of course, but they also are open and shut all the time.
Yeah.
You may have a window that you didn't know wasn't all the way shut or wasn't drafty if you don't ever go near that window in that room, So
Well,
I've done this before. I've done, for money. I've done this to save money before. So
we added thick black plastic to all our windows on the inside, and you can definitely tell that it adds an additional layer of insulation, air insulation to it. So
yeah, I wouldn't even talk to you about most stuff like that because I know you got it covered.
Yeah, we've had it up for over a year now.
We literally have it covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does add some. Like you can go up and feel the window feels much colder on the outside than the plastic does on the inside, so definitely helps some. But all right, let's wrap her up for today. Thanks everyone for joining us. Again, we will be back tomorrow, Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. We are mainly here to provide support for and answer any questions about our products and services. If you do have any of those in the meantime, feel free to contact our support by the various ways that we have listed on our /support page. Otherwise, if you want to talk directly to us, you can join our chat tomorrow at our 4 p.m. showtime, and we'll be more than happy to discuss it with you then. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and hope the week so far has gone well. At the worst, just think that half of it's over now. So
Yay.
we will be back tomorrow, and take us on out, Proctor.